a silhouetted figure, a piece of three-dimensional art, stuff in the kitchen, cups and saucers or plates and whatnot up in the cabinet, at least one piece of countertop, small appliance kind of thing, and then all the other things that we've already gone over. There's also, backsplash in the kitchen and countertop material and all those kinds of things. But today we're going to go over the scallops again, and I'm going to show you how to get the glass, how to put glass in the cabinet. So, I've been playing around with this already, so I'm going to turn these off. So you can see on this one I've got a bit more definition to the scallops that I did. Kind of compare back and forth here. That one versus that one. So I'd say these ones are a bit more successful. I think they're still nice and diffuse, but you can see some shape to them. Okay. All right, so I have to find out where I put them. There they are, light effect. I can turn them off. And I am just going to create a new layer right above the one that I did the other day. Light effect 2. Okay. So remember, we go to the marquee tool, and if we click and hold it down, we get the elliptical marquee tool, which lives behind the square one, the rectangle. And then I come back over to my artwork, and I click, hold, and drag, and make myself an ellipse in the shape that I want my scallop to be. Once I've made it, I can kind of move it around with the arrow keys on the keyboard, just to kind of bump it over and put it where I'm going to want it to sit in the final rendering. Then I need to get a color for my light, so I come down to the color picker, open it up, and I'm going to grab the wall color with the eyedropper, and then get a nice, really light version of it. Click OK, and that appears over here in my foreground color. Then I get to turn on the gradient tool. And remember, if you can't find the gradient tool, it's because it lives behind the paint bucket, and Photoshop defaults to the paint bucket. So if you're not able to see the gradient tool, that's because it's hiding from you. You just click and hold on the paint bucket and choose the gradient tool. And then you click outside of, oh wait a minute, I missed a step. We have to feather the edge. And the feathering of the edge needs to happen before you put the material in. Because if you do this, remember, it gives you that really sharp edge. So I'm going to undo that, Control Z. And I'm going to come back up to the control bar with the elliptical tool activated. And out on the end here is the Refine Edge button. When I click on that, it gives me a preview of what it would look like if I use the tool right now without adjusting it, right? So in order to get a nice diffuse edge, I come over to the Refine Edge dialog box, and in the Adjust Edge sliders, the middle one is called Feather. And as you move it, you can see that it starts to feather the edge. And this is where you're going to be able to control just how much definition your scallop has. The more diffuse you make it, the more it's going to just kind of disappear into the wall like a light source, like on the first example. So think about that while you're choosing how much feathering you want to put on your scallop. It's jumping back and forth on me a bit, so right now it's reading at 104.2. I'm just going to go over here and type in 95 and see what that looks like. I think that looks a bit better, so I'm going to go with that. Click OK. Now when I open up the gradient tool and I click, hold, and drag through my ellipse, and I can do it a few times and it'll kind of keep adding to it. Now, it'd be great to be able to, and you may have to try this a few times to get it to work, but to get the scallop to kind of start disappearing right about here, you don't want it to actually fill in the oval, because then you'll just look like you've got kind of an odd spotlight on things. So you want the most material up here, and it kind of dissipates, you know, about there or so. Okay. That way it won't look kind of phony. Right? Let's see, I'm going to undo those and try them again real quick. Now the way the gradient tool works is that where you click to start is where the most pixels are going to be, and where you end is where the least will be. So you can kind of be strategic about this. If you want your gradient to end about here, you can start here, drag down a little bit past that point, and it got to right about there, which is not bad. If it doesn't give you enough pixels, if it looks like it's too light, you can just go back and do it right over the top. Do it again, like so. And then if I deselect that and come back over to the layer stack and try using the blending modes where it says normal, open that guy up and try the overlay blending mode. Then you can always check to see just how much effect it's having by coming back to that layer where you put the light effect, and the little eyeball just to the left of it there. If you click on that and then click it on and off, you can see just how much you actually applied. Okay, so let's say I like that, and now instead of having to repeat that process and try to make one that's exactly the same, I could just come back over to the layer stack and duplicate the layer. Right click, duplicate layer, click OK, and then I can grab the move tool and just slide it over, like so. Okay, and then I'll probably want to merge those two layers together. So I come back to the layer stack. Well, copy one is already highlighted, so I'm just going to right click on that one and find the merge down function, choose that, and now if I come back to the layer that's merged and turn it off and turn it on, you can see how much effect that's having. If you still think that it's maybe obscuring the painting too much, you can fine tune it over here at the top of the layer stack. There's this opacity control. Click on that and it gives you a slider, and you can just slide it and it will reduce the opacity or make it more transparent. Okay. Any questions about that process?